So Shift is a new programming language developed by the Apple for developing their native applications, OS X and the OS X and the iOS applications. Shift adapts the basics of C without constraints of the C capability. That means Shift doesn't support what? Pointers. So Shift is going to use the same runtime mechanism which is used by the Objective-C. You don't think that Shift is completely new. Shift is completely going to use the Objective-C library and its framework. Top of that one, it use its own syntax. Then if you consider the features, safe programming pattern, modern programming feature, seamless access to existing Cocoa framework, and the procedure and object-oriented programming language both can be supported. So if you want to develop a application based on only procedure language, you can follow the procedure language, or if you want to go with the object orientation, you can go with the object orientation. It doesn't need any separate library, which use actual libraries which are implemented by the Objective-C. Then current version is a 5.2. The first version was released in 2014, that is a 1.0. So actual development is started from the Shift, that is around 2015 mid or 2016 startup, which version 2.0 itself. Then about the PlayGround is a tool of the Xcode where instantly, if you are implemented any logic, instantly it will compile and generate the output that is going to call as a playground. So generally this playground is required if you are going to, if you don't want to compile your entire project, a small piece of the logic, if you want to execute, just open the playground and you can run the playground. Instantly you will get the output in the playground. And we discussing about the variables and the constants. So in Shift, if you want to define any variables, you have to use a var keyword. If you want to create a constant type, then you have to create a let keyword. So in order to create the variable, we no need to specify any kind of data type, because Shift having the ability to determine what type of variable it is created based on the value you assign. So whenever you are assigning a value to a particular variable, automatically it is going to determine what type of variable depends on the value. So third point, if you consider, the Shift compiler has a feature called infrared typing to automatically predicate the type of the variable by values assigned. So explicitly, we no need to assign the data type when you are creating. So if you still want to go with the data type, then you have to create var or let variable name colon, then the type of the variable equal to value. Okay, and here there is another concept is there, which is called type checking. Type checking in the sense, simply, if I declare a variable called integer, I can't assign the value float. That means one type, if you declare a variable, another type you can't assign. That is type checking always. So it is generated a compilation error. Then, so these are the basic things. If you consider yesterday topic, what is the difference between var and let? Var used for creating a variable, whereas a let use it for creating a constant. So if the variable is a constant, you can't modify the value, you can't increment, you can't decrement, you can't change the value. But if it is a variable, you can change the value. What is a type safe in Shift? So it is a standard question actually. What is a type safety in Shift mean? After creating a variable, if you are assigning a different type of data, then Shift is going to generate a compilation error. So that compilation error itself is going to call type safety. That means depends on the type, similar kind of data required to assign. Other data, if you are trying to assign, then it will generate the error that is going to call as a type safety. Then type interface. Type interface in the sense, so it is the ability to determine what type of variable it is created based on the value. It is going to call type interface. Okay, then continuation of yesterday topic, we will go with the next one, data types. So if you remember the yesterday session, I was said that Shift is going to support best of C and some Objective C functionality. In the similar fashion, Okay, so Swift is going to support best of C and Objective C functionality. So best of C in the sense C related few concepts are going to support it except the pointer elimination and the Objective C. So when you consider the data type, so what is the meaning of data type? Data type is nothing but which is going to indicate to the compiler what type of data I'm going to store in that particular variable, and it is going to support all the standard data types. Swift offers the programmer a wide range of built-in variables as well as user-defined types. So we have some specific type which is required for the development. Apart from that, we have some basic data types. So if you consider the basic data type, int or uint. So either integer variable or the uint variable. So this is used to hold the numbers which doesn't have any fractional part, and you can use in these things in the two format, either is a 32-bit format or 64-bit format. That means what? Let's say if your system has the compatibility of the 64-bit processor, then the integer will created by default 64-bit integer. If your processor having the ability of 32-bit integer, then it's going to create 32-bit integer. Then one more question. Depends on the device. Let's say I'm using iPhone 5 series, iPhone 6 series. Those are compatible to 32-bit only. That means if I'm going to deploy a application on 32-bit processor, then my integer size will be considered as only 32-bit data. If I'm going to deploy the same application on the high-end devices like iPhone 8, iPhone X, or iPhone 11, then iPhone Max, any whatever may be, then it is going to take 64-bit size. That means it's completely hardware dependent. So whenever you created integer or uinteger, depends on your hardware compatibility, compiler will be generated the specific size. If it is a 32-bit compiler up to iPhone 6, up to iPhone 6 or 7, not sure, I will check. So it has the 32-bit compatibility. High-end devices 8X and Max, whatever the next 11 series is there, you have the 64-bit processor, so it will generate at 16-bit. And again, int has the two capability, sign or unsigned, negative, positive, whereas uint is strictly for only positive data. So you have int 8, you have int 16, you have int 32, you have int 64. By default it will take 64. Got my point? So integer has a different variation. Int 8 is there, int 16 is there, int 32 is there, int 64 is there. Similar fashion, uint 8-bit will be there, uint 16-bit will be there, uint 32-bit will be there, uint 64 is there. These are required when you are developing a specific hardware related sizes. Otherwise, normally you can use int or uint. The second one is a float type. So it's a float in the sense simply it can be say it can maintain the fractional part, but float is always restricted to 32-bit. So this is used to represent a 32-bit floating point number and the number with the smaller decimal points. So if you have a high range floating data, then you should go for what? Double. So double, this is used to represent the 64-bit floating point number and use it when the floating point value will be large. So float and double, simple, consider 32-bit small data, floating data. If you are going to store, then you can go for this one. Long information, if you are going to maintain, then go for the double. Int, uint, different variation, 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, 64-bit. Float, only one variation, 32-bit float value. Double has only one variation, 64-bit float data. Then bool. So this is represent the boolean value. Boolean value in the sense what? Either true, either false. So it can maintain only two values, either true, either false. Then string. This is in order to collection of string means nothing but it is a collection of character. So if you want to store multiple characters, collection of characters, then you have to go for the string. There is a data type called string which maintains the collection of characters. Then character. This is a single character string literal. So if you remember traditional C and C++ programming, string means we will represent in double quotes, whereas a character means we will represent single quote. But in Shift, even though it is a character, even though it is a string, you must should be represent in the form of what? double quotes only. This is only the condition you have to consider when you consider the shift related string and character. Generally in the traditional C and C++, string and character has a differentiate. Characters are going to represent in single quotes, whereas the string are going to represent in the double quotes. But in shift, string and character both must be represented in the form of what? Double quotes only. Then optional. So this is not actually the data type. Optional in the sense this represent a variable that can be hold either value, either nil value. So if I'm creating a variable and I specified it is a optional type, then that optional type can be maintained two values. Either it can be maintained the nil value, either it can be maintained the actual data. That is going to call as a optional. Then the tuple. Tuple in the sense this is used to group multiple values. Let's say like we have array. Actually array is going to maintain the multiple data type, multiple type similar values, but tuple is a different approach. So tuples are going to use to maintain the multiple values in a single component. I will show you how we are going to use. Okay, so let's dig into the code and check how these are going to work. Okay, so everyone has Xcode.
Yes.
I think someone, I think, let me find out someone. Okay, if everyone has the Xcode, that's fine. If you don't have the Xcode now, you can go with, I think I was heard from some guy who doesn't have the Xcode now. So if you don't have the Xcode, you can use this online compiler also if you don't have the Xcode. Let me charge. Okay, so simply open the Xcode. Just go to your start tab. You can say it's a search bar or the spotlight. Go to the spotlight. Just say open the Xcode. Okay, so I think you can see my screen, right? Xcode window. So let's go. So here in the Xcode, you have three different options. Get start with the playground, get start with the Xcode project, clone the existing. Go for the first option and give the name called data type playground and create. Okay, so UI kit doesn't require. Go with foundation and remove the code. Okay, so let variable naming conversion. So whenever we are creating a variable in Shift, we are going to use a camel conversion. Camel conversion in the sense the first character must be in the lower. Every subsequent word should be there. First character should be the lowercase, and every subsequent word related the first character should be going uppercase. That is called camel conversion. Snake case are going to use for the shifting. Snake case generally going to use for the scripting languages, not in the programming. In the snake case, every subsequent word is going to separated by the underscore. That is only the difference. So let a short value, then colon, see int. So how many variations are there? You can check. Int, int 8, int 16, int 32, int 64. You decide what kind of variable you need according to that one. You can. I will take, right. So I created a let value. So let in the sense it's something like it's defined. Then var a int value where I'm creating int. Okay, one is a 8-bit, another one is an integer. Then I will say print a short value dot I don't think what's wrong with this one. So if I executed this one, the constant used, let me pause. Okay, what I will do now, I will say 128. So see, it is saying that integer literal 128 overflows when the short is int 8, because when you say integer 8, that is 8-bit compactability. So the 8-bit compactability, the maximum range is from what? Minus 128 to 127 only. So if you have literally going to store the value in between this range, then only you have to go. So if you are storing 128, it doesn't suits that value, then so I'm storing 128, then 127, then I got 127. Let's say this one. Print int value. see what it is saying, that variable a int value used before initialized. That means I am not initialized. So simply I can say int value equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Sir, it is not rendering actually.
Oh, sorry, man. Now,
Yeah, now it's fine.
okay.
Yes.
See what I'm trying to do here. I'm storing like a short value has a int 128. It is not compactable. It says integer literal 128 overflow when stored into int 8, because int 8 capability is minus 128 to 127. So keep in mind that whatever the value you are going to store, that value has a proper range or not. So maximum positive data it supports 127. Now we are storing 128, and the compiler straightforward it is giving the error, it is not compactable. This is something called, which is not exist in any other languages except in the Swift. So Swift straight away in the compilation time only it is saying what's possible, what not possible. So I'm converting into 127, then it is working. Now if I run, I got the error with the second variable. Second variable saying that a int value, variable a int value used before being initialized, because here we don't have any initialization. So without initialization, if we are using a variable, still it gives error, because if you follow the traditional C and C++, when you are going to create a variable, by default it has some garbage value, and when you are printing the data it prints the garbage value. But in Shift, even though you created a variable, don't think it has a default garbage value and the garbage value will print it. It never going to print any garbage value. It is straight away it is going to give the error called variable a int value used before being initialized. So simply say a int value equals to something like this. And if you seen, the value is printed properly. Whatever the value I'm printed, same long value is there. Then let a float value, I can say is a float type variations, and I can give the data like 12.34, where a double value equals to, give the type called double, then print float value colon of a float value. Okay, and then print something simply double value of something called a double value. Right. Then if you want to create a boolean variable, let is session going bool equals to true, then say session is going, then I will say is session going. Okay, then let my website of string equals to tutorial.com, then say print website name. So format specifiers are not there, so you have to do like this, my website. Right. Let my code of character equals to C. Then print character code of my code. This is character. See, perfect. In the right side you can check, left side you can check, on the bottom of console also you can check everything whatever it's printed. Any doubt? You want to do anything in the code? Let me know. We can change and we can play around this code. Any doubt on these things? I don't think so. It's complicated, just for understanding purpose. So you can create int, float, double, or string. So here you can consider it's actually character type, but still I'm managing in the double quotes. And here it is a string type where I'm giving everything in the double quotes. So literally this is called string literal. So whenever you are going to store the character type, it is going to call the string literal, and when you are going to store collection of character, it is a string type. So string or character, it doesn't have anything. And here, let's see one particular thing. I say character and I will say CBC. Then compile the code. See what's happening? Cannot convert the value of type string specified by the character. It's a type checking. See, perfect type checking. When you say character, this variable capability to maintain only one value, one character, whereas I'm assigning multiple character and state away, my compiler says it's wrong. Don't do like this. So if it is a character means its capability to maintain only one value. Let's say I'm maintaining two values, then also same thing. I hope it's clear. So if you are maintaining a single character, then you have to go for the string literal. So how to create the string literal in Swift? By using what? Character type. So string literals are going to created by using the character type, whereas a string is going to created by the string, and the rest of things same. Bool type is a boolean, either true, either false. Now if I say false and if I run, then session is going false. So can I assign 0, 1 here? So generally true false means true means 1, false means 0. Let's say try 1. Then compile. It cannot convert the value of type int to specified type bool. Got my point? So hope so. This is gonna give you state away logics. Now it's true. Okay. Next. Typecasting is a small topic. Maybe you know. Typecasting means what? Converting one data type to another data type. Converting one type to another type is called typecasting. Similar standard approach you can create. So what is the syntax means? Let's say var variable data type equals to value. Okay, then I can say something like data type 1 and var variable 2 of data type 2 equals to data type 2 of variable 1. Okay, let's see practically. Let type 1 of integer equals to 12. Let type 2 of double equals to double of type 1. Print type 1 of type 1 type 2 of type 2. So 12, 12.0. Same standard syntax. Let's say let string 1 of character equals to C. Now let string 2 of string equals to string of string 1. I think better to give a proper name. Character type 1. Character type is converted into string type, then print of string type of string 2, or say string type, then string type. See, here I was created the, what is that, integer to double type, whereas here I was converted a character into the string type. So whenever you are going to convert the type casting, so where or let variable 1 data type 1 equal to value, where variable 2 data type equals to data type 2 of variable 1, same thing. So here is a first type integer double, so data type parenthesis gives the second type, so automatically it is going to convert according to that one. Done?
Yes.
Any doubts?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Ramesh, Puneet.
No, sir.
Okay, perfect. Let's say continuation. So here we've seen some basic things: bool, string, character, and optional. Optional is a big topic, that's why I was not started. Can we see about the tuples? So tuples in the sense what? Multiple values, right? Let's continue off that code. Let test tuple equals to 12. This is going to call as a tuple. So variable or var, just it maximum the people will go for the constant. Let test tuple 12 balu tutorial something. Okay, then what's gonna happen here? How to access? Because this tuple is maintaining the multiple values. How many values are there right now? Three values are there. Then how I have to access this tuple? In the sense, so whenever you given the multiple variables in the parentheses, the tuples are going to access using its position. So it is a position number one, that means zero index. Okay, then say print test tuple. See, if you see in the syntax, test tuple, what are the data are available? String, integer, string. So if you see in here, integer, string, and double. So this tuple has the three different values: integer, string, tuple. Position one, that is zero index, is a integer. Position one, that is a string. Position two, that is a double. So that is the advantage of using the tuples. So test tuple dot zero. First thing, test tuple dot one. Second one, test tuple dot two. Third one. So not only these things, anything you can maintain. Anything you can maintain. If you see in here, 12 Palu tutorial 12.47. This is going to call as what? Tuples.
Why do we have that option self when we print out the tuple, test tuple 0, then we have self there.
Dot zero. Where is
Yeah,
that?
instead of 0, you can print it as self.
Everything, na?
Yeah, yeah.
See here. I hope so. Your doubt is clear. Test tuple dot self means it's printed all the components in single shot.
Okay.
Got the point? But generally we are not going to use this one, because tuples are going to use something like, okay, I will give the use case. In C, Objective C, or C++, any function can return only one value. When you are using the
Correct.
functions in the old, any function returns only one value. But there are some specific scenarios are there where I want to return the multiple values. So if you want to return the multiple values in the old traditional, what's going to happen? You have to create a static member in your function, and you have to return the address of that static member or array of address where you can give the multiple values. But Swift doesn't have the pointer compatibility. That means that particular approach is completely different here. So generally in C, C++ or Objective-C, functions are allowed to return only one value. If you require to return the multiple values from a function, then that function has to be written the address of a reference, and which can be the multiple values. But here in Shift, we don't have the pointer compatibility. That's why if the functions required to return the multiple values, the best solution, the function should return the tuples. When the function returns the tuple, you receive the data from the tuple, and the tuple dot indexes, if you give, then the corresponding value you will get one advantage. Second one, if you are working with old traditional programming language, even though functions are returning the multiple values, it can return only the similar data type. It can't return the different data type. But here the tuples can maintain the different kind of data values, and you can collect the data according to your requirement. This is the advantage which are not exist in other languages. Tuples can maintain the generic values and tuple can return the multiple values. In Shift, it is the best concept. We will use this one in the iOS development itself. So let's commit out this line and go with the standard one. Test tuple dot index 0.